Hey everybody, welcome back to another chat on House of the Dragon, Season 1, Episode 3. This episode is titled Second of His Name. And just throw it around. How's everybody feeling about Game of Thrones?
Fine was the consensus, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty much the same response as last time. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I was let down by this episode, kind of disappointed.
Really?
A little anticlimactic. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to see these crab feeders some more, learn a bit about them.
Yeah.
I guess this series is a little bit more expedited, though, than Game of Thrones is, considering that all these giant time jumps. So I guess I shouldn't expect that, but I don't know. I just kind of miss that aspect, the real juicy stuff. But
I think
shit is happening at the same time as other shit is happening, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, even like the ending sequence for this, I enjoyed it, but it didn't have the like cinematic punch that you would come to expect most battle sequences of Game of Thrones to have.
Right.
I think that maybe that was intentional because, like, thinking back to the later seasons of Game of Thrones, it's like, okay, here's the long shot take. Yeah, here we go. You know, like, so it's like maybe you don't want to be that predictable anymore. But I could understand it being somewhat anticlimactic. Personally, I'm going to take the high road. I watched this after Lord of the Rings, so I think my comparison there was very night and day of, like, Game of Thrones. Like, I'll shit on that last season's, like, all day long till the end of time. But it's so compelling. Like, and the fantasy is so accessible and compelling and, like, realistic. And I'm enjoying it. I'm back in on Game of Thrones specifically, but that's just me.
Cool.
This is definitely better than the Lord of the Rings. Excuse me, the Rings of Prime.
There it is.
It was. I enjoyed. I also watched it afterwards, and I thought, this is better. I feel like I'm an actual adult watching an actual adult show. So this is good. I didn't feel like someone was rubbing my tummy, telling me, "Oh, are you enjoying this, buddy?" the whole time I was watching it. So
yeah,
I like that aspect of it. So I guess being back in the world of the gritty, grimy Game of Thrones, Westeros bullshit is kind of nice,
Yeah. I feel that.
I really like Viserys. I can't ever fucking figure out these names. I need like
King
4
Viserys.
seasons.
Yeah.
But he's a good character. Good example of a good, compelling character with struggles, turmoil, tension, all that good stuff,
Yeah.
Did his little monologue in front of that bonfire. I was like, I get this guy. Like, I get what he's going through here.
Is that with him and Allison? Is that what you're talking? Or? That was one of the best scenes, I thought.
Yeah.
And him when he's like getting drunk on the throne and shit. It's like, okay, it's like, wow, you actually like, you're like, get this guy's sitch, like, what he's got to deal with.
It's such a thankless job too, and that's what that character is really displaying. Is like people are like talking shit, like, oh, why'd you name your daughter on a whim? And he's like, I didn't do it on a whim. And then that scene specifically with Alicent, I was like, he like admits that he basically did it on a whim, and he's not sure with this, like, he has another son, so the prophecy could still be true type of stuff. Yeah. Like you get to see inside him, but then I think it's really nice too with Alicent. You see, like, she could push him to make her son king easily. So like she didn't, and she's struggling with that decision too because obviously Rhaenyra is her friend. So I think it's like, to me, this episode is like, it's like very like the seeds are starting to like form some green, and like the boringness of the first 2 episodes, just like setting the scene and setting the characters, like you can see it start to like shift here in the right direction, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, man, I agree. There was like some really good symbolism with like the hunting, like the whole aspect of the hunt, and like Rhaenyra going out, bringing a boar back, and King Viserys basically being handed the stag, just a big Baratheon symbol. So it's like, all right, where's this going? But, and then at the end, seeing the white stag or whatever, Rhaenyra finding it. So it's cool.
This is definitely one of the more compelling episodes. I'm more interested, and I'm definitely here for the ride, of course. But
Nix,
this was a step up from, the last episodes. But
I mean, the opening sequence I thought kind of brought me in. I really like Caraxes, the dragon that Daemon rides. He's like in lore, apparently he's like malformed or not completely the right dragon.
I wondered about this. His like backside is like,
he's got like weird little
legs,
tail wings,
right? Yeah.
And he's got like a way longer neck than most dragons, so he's just like wily and like just rampaging through the battle. I don't know. I like the design. I think you got to really emphasize different dragon designs, obviously, with this show. And I'm liking Caraxes. I'm liking. There's thought behind everything that they're doing. I would say for most of what I'm seeing. So that's good. That's good to see.
Yeah. Dragons are badass. So.
It's easy. You just put a dragon on screen.
It's like that white one that the dudes, one of the Valyrian dudes are riding.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good for Daemon the end of this episode. I really like get his kind of deal too, of like, you know, they were, like I said, they were saying like, oh, give me someone who will go out there and act as like a pile of flesh, you know, as bait, and I'll give you a madman. It's like, no, Daemon just goes out there and starts trying to tear shit up, and then people will back him up. So like,
it shows that he's like a guy that will get shit done without having like the honor code either, man. He fakes a surrender, like that's shit you don't do, badass. Man. I mean, it'll get you the dub. That's what that's all he wanted to leave with the dub. So he gets it done.
Shit, he looked cool doing it. So
yeah.
But
it's the Targaryen way, right?
You were saying that you didn't enjoy how the crab feeder went out.
Yeah, I just felt like he went into the cave, and I'm thinking, you know, I don't know, maybe
dark cave battle,
alive or something. I just when he came out with the carcass, I was just kind of like, oh, okay.
I did feel like I missed a scene.
I feel that.
I was like, wait a minute, what?
That was a little jarring for me, but other than that, I mean, the battle sequence wasn't as like, you know, isn't one of the best, but it was still fun. I mean, it was still cool. The dragons, fucking sweet. But yeah, I wanted to know more about these crab feeders because they seem kind of cool.
Yeah,
you know?
It was pretty cool.
I want to know.
Offshoot. I think with your gripe of like Lord of the Rings, where it's like nothing, there's like no obstacle. I think Game of Thrones, like it's so like in that battle, it wasn't as like cinematic, but you could feel the brutality with Daemon and like arrows flying down, he's getting hit, like they are in the shit, and you feel it, and that's very important just in general for me. So.
And that whole time you're thinking, oh, is he actually going to die? Not just because it's Game of Thrones and it's notorious for killing off its characters, but the fact that, oh, he's actually in a situation where he could die. Where in juxtaposition of Galadriel, she could have died with that troll, but you knew for a fact that, oh, she's got this taken care of because in her face, it was just like, oh, this guy, I got it, guys, hang on. So that's what I'm getting at with that argument.
I got you.
So I guess the differences are mirrored quite nicely for me. Thanks for setting me up for that.
No, I got you. It's like this is the other, like there's two sides of the fantasy coin, and this is like one that is obviously reflecting reality, which for most like fantasy people will probably be like, well, it's not fantasy, you know. But like to me, I want to ride in a dragon, and I want to still like understand what the fucking characters are talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's like perfect, right? This is for me. You know, that's why I loved it to begin with. So
for sure.
I think they're doing smart work too on just like trying to tie back to the original series without like, because like they brought in like the Lannisters here. I mean, you could say that's like ham-fisting it kind of, but
the old twins.
Yeah, it's just like that. The one character that was like Charmin Rhaenyra. You can just see like they're trying to give you a little bit of Jaime, a little bit of Cersei, you know, like, and they got an actor that's going to be right kind of like what you kind of know a Lannister as. So like they do smart stuff like that, and they're like homaging it in like subtle ways in my brain too, because like with the hunt, like that's obviously a big part of season 1. Like Bobby B goes on the hunt. And then like the boar that comes and hits the dude, that's like just like beep, it's like making your brain go, oh, that's Bobby B went out that way, like but they're not like forcing it on you, you know what I'm saying? Like,
pretty sure I said those exact words to Sarah, was that's how Bobby B went out.
Exactly. So. Right. That's what the writers were trying, you know, like just get Bobby B homage in here. And same with like the tourney in the first episode. There's a tourney in the first episode of Game of Thrones, I'm pretty sure, I believe, or it's like early season. Where they find that somebody got murdered or whatever.
The first episode or the second episode.
Yeah, it's early, so it's like it's trying to give you like the taste and the flavor, which I can kind of see.
Now the question is, are the twins fucking?
I mean, if we know the Lannisters.
Yeah, right. And they proposed the Targaryens do it already, so
that's what I'm saying.
not off the table, man.
Yeah.
But
that's good. Like those scenes are compelling, though. You know what I'm saying? Because like just a character suggesting to a person that they marry their son and daughter,
right?
Like they need to do it in this world because that's the world. Yeah. And then you have to deal with the repercussions of like writing that line. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And I mean, you got to go for it, and they're still going for it in darkish ways, I'd say. So
I agree. Like I said, I felt like I was treated like an adult when I watched this.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So,
much more accessible, much more watchable than Lord of the Rings, in my opinion. I like them both for different reasons.
Rings of Prime, okay.
Lord of the Rings. I'll go as far as to say that this is much more watchable than even the original Lord of the Rings, because I love the Lord of the Rings. It's high fantasy for high fantasy's sake. Like, it's not meant to be accessible to a lot of people, in my opinion, which is great. Okay. But like Game of Thrones, obviously it's an HBO show, and they're trying to like rake people in. Like I know that's what the new Rings of Prime is trying to do.
Rings of Prime.
It just slipped out right there. That was crazy. But yeah, I don't know. You got to have the right content to keep viewers, So
yeah, fair enough.
True.
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings is still
top tier.
Better, but anyway.
Fair enough.
Agreed.
Any final thoughts on this episode, or?
Yeah, I'm more willing to stick with this one than the Rings of Prime, but so yeah, I'm in now. It's fine still. It's not Game of Thrones first 5 seasons, 6 seasons.
Yeah.
But it's good. Characters good, stories getting there. So I'm in.
Cool.
Yeah, it's shaping itself into something new, something cool.
Yeah,
for sure.
Rebuilding the brand, episode by episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Talk next episode. See how this series shapes up.
Yeah, for sure.
See you back.
Stay gold.
Stay gold, guys.